Hi guys, it's Jess and welcome back to my channel, and I am going to be sharing with you the books that I am hoping to read in March. So this is the second time I am filming this video because I have changed my TBR for this month quite a lot since I last filmed the video, and I just didn't want to upload that one. It was also a real mess, I'm not gonna lie. So we're gonna go with this one, and hopefully it has a bit more of a structured approach to it. It might not, it's me. So anyway, without further ado, we're just gonna jump straight in to the books. So we're going to start with all of the readathons that I am participating in this month. I am doing 3 and I'm very excited for all of them. We're going to start with the Sherlock Holmes readathon that I am taking part in with a bunch of lovely people over on Instagram. The hashtag for it this time is Do You Remember Sherlock? Because we are going to be reading the memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. Last month we read The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and I have read those short stories so many times before, and it was really nice to revisit them. But the memoirs of Sherlock Holmes, I think I have only read once or twice. I don't remember them that well. I do remember The Final Problem, which is the last short story in the memoirs, and it is probably one of the most well-known Sherlock Holmes because it features a certain villain that everybody loves because of a certain Andrew Scott. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to getting into those stories, and hopefully I'm not going to leave it to the last minute like I did with The Adventures. They are short stories, so I can dip in and out of them throughout the month and just read one a day or whatever. But yeah, I'm very excited for this one, and I'm really enjoying revisiting Sherlock Holmes and getting through this chunky book. We're almost halfway now, so we're demolishing it pretty fast for me anyway. So moving on to the buzzwordathon, the word for March is time, and I have picked This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins. I have been wanting to read this book for ages. I have had this book for a few months now, so I'm really pleased to finally be getting to it. As you can see, I've already started reading it. I'm about 150 pages in and I'm really enjoying it. Like, it's not amazing, but it is funny and it's light-hearted, and I definitely needed this considering I've been reading a lot of heavy books lately. I just needed something that I don't have to think too much about, that's not going to make me feel depressed after reading it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's got some really funny moments in it. I love the interactions with all of the characters. Yeah, what else can I say? I won't talk about this book too much because I have talked about it a lot in previous videos, but it just follows 2 characters, Quinn and Minnie, who were both born on the same day, the same year, in the same hospital, and their mothers knew each other. They met on the labour ward as they were giving birth, and there was this local newspaper that was hosting a competition. So whoever gave birth to the first baby born in 1990 would win £50,000, and so the mothers were kind of competing a little bit to have their babies first. So there's that whole backstory going on as well, which I'm excited to see how that plays out and how it affects the relationship between these characters. But yeah, anyway, moving on. We're going to talk next about my non-fiction picks for March. So if you're not aware, every month I want to read at least 2 non-fiction books. In February I didn't quite manage it, I only read 1. The other book that I wanted to read in February was 100 Great Black Britons, so I'm just going to shove that into this month's TBR because I do really want to read this, and I also feel like I need to read this because I feel like it's going to teach me a lot about some people that I never knew existed, that I never learned about in school. It basically just talks about 100 Black British citizens who have had some kind of impact on British society, British culture, entertainment, politics, healthcare, you name it. And it just talks about people like Idris Elba, who is an actor, Stormzy, who is a rapper. We've got Benjamin Zephaniah, who is a poet, Diane Abbott, who was the first black female MP elected into Parliament in the 80s, Mary Seacole, who I kind of learned about a little bit in school, but she was always overshadowed by Florence Nightingale. And yeah, there are definitely going to be some names in this book that I have never heard of, so I know that it's going to teach me a lot, and I'm just really eager to read this. It sounds like it's going to be a fascinating and insightful read, so I am definitely going to be prioritising this one this month. And then my other non-fiction pick for March is Peaky Blinders, The Real Story, The True History of Birmingham's Most Notorious Gangs by Carl Chin. So in February, my boyfriend came up to me and said, I really want to watch Peaky Blinders, which was like music to my ears because Peaky Blinders is one of my all-time favourite TV shows. If you haven't seen it, it is on Netflix. Go and watch it because it is absolutely incredible. It has an amazing cast, and yeah, it's all about this gypsy gang in Birmingham just after World War One, and they fuck a lot of shit up basically, and I love them. Like, it's just such an interesting, really compelling show. And it's based off a real gang that existed in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And this book just talks about the inspiration behind Peaky Blinders, about the real gang and the kind of things that they got up to. And I'm just really, really looking forward to it. I've had this book for ages. I saw it in Asda one day and I just picked it up. And because I am in a massive Peaky Blinders mood right now, I feel like I just need to read everything related to Peaky Blinders. So there's that for my non-fiction picks for March. Next books that I'm going to talk about are books that are on my Around the World list. And the first book that I have picked for March is Split Tooth by Tanya Tagaq. So this wasn't originally on my March TBR. This book actually showed up while I was filming this video the first time round because every delivery driver and postman seems to know when I am filming and they just show up randomly and interrupt me. But anyway, this is written by a native Canadian author. She is a Canadian Inuit. I believe she's a throat singer. Yeah, she's a Canadian Inuit throat singer, improvisational performer, avant-garde composer, and experimental recording artist. So she sounds like a very interesting lady. But this book is all about a girl who grows up in Nunavut. I hope I'm saying that right. In the 1970s, she knows joy and friendship and the love of her parents. She knows the tedium of the everyday world and the raw, amoral power of the ice and sky, the seductive energy of the animal world. When she becomes pregnant, she must navigate all of this. Haunting, brooding, exhilarating, and tender all at once, Split Tooth moves effortlessly between fiction and memoir, myth and reality, poetry and prose. Tagaq conjures a world and a heroine readers will never forget. I'm really struggling to read today, so but yeah, it sounds really interesting, and I'm not huge on magical realism, but I am dipping my toes in the waters a little bit more this year, and just trying a few different things out. And this book has just been calling to me. I don't know why. It's not something that I would normally read, but we're going to give it a go anyway. My second book that I will be reading for the Around the World Challenge is Real World by Natsuo Karino. So this is Japanese horror, and I have heard that Japanese horror is absolutely insane. And I'm a little bit apprehensive to read it just because I don't know how much my stomach and my brain can take. Because I do like horror, I've been getting back into it recently, but there are limits. So we'll see, but I've heard that this author is really popular in Japan and that she's written some incredible horror books, and this one just follows 4 girls who are in summer school classes, and one of the girls' next door neighbour is found brutally murdered, and the girls suspect Worm, the neighbour's son and a high school misfit. But when he disappears, the 4 girls become irresistibly drawn into a treacherous vortex of brutality and seduction which rises from within themselves as well as the world around them. So I'm getting real big like confinement vibes from this book. I might be wrong. But yeah, I've not really looked into it too much because I don't want to go into this book knowing too much. I want to keep it quite vague, but I'm intrigued by this. I'm really drawn to it. And yeah, like I said, I've heard that Japanese horror is absolutely insane sometimes, so I might regret this. We'll see. But I will just say as well that I am also reading this for the mini spookathon that is happening at the end of this month. It is taking place on the 22nd of March right through until the 28th. I will put all of the information down in the description box below for you if you want to check it out. I took part in the Spooktober Readathon last October, which was hosted by Raylene. This is being hosted by Raylene again, and I really enjoyed it, and I do want to get into a few of the horror books that I have on my shelves. I've been really dying to read them, so this is the perfect excuse. And I'm reading this for the prompt to read a horror / mystery / thriller by a BIPOC author. So I'm going to continue on with the books that I am going to read for this readathon, and one of the prompts is to read a spooky novella, and I have gone with The Silence by Don DeLillo. You might have seen this in a recent video that I did because I got this book for Christmas, and I've been really intrigued by this one. I don't know too much about it, but I know that it is set during a communications blackout in New York, and there are these bunch of people. I don't know if they're friends or not. I think they know each other in some capacity, but they're not like friends. And they get stuck in this flat together, I believe, and they kind of have to live out their time together while there's this communications blackout going on. I don't really know, but it sounds very familiar to Leave the World Behind. Didn't really enjoy Leave the World Behind, so I'm a little bit apprehensive about this one, but we'll see how this one goes. And it is a relatively short book. It is only like 120 pages long, so this is probably going to be a book that I will read in one sitting, but we will see. The next prompt is to read a thriller / horror / mystery by a new to you author, and I have gone with Horror Store, a novel by Grady Hendrix. So Grady Hendrix is an author that I am aware of. I do have a Southern Book Club's guide. This is so difficult to say. A Southern Book Club's guide to slaying vampires in my Audible library that I have been meaning to get to for ages, and yeah, I just haven't. But I've been really excited to read this one ever since I saw it online. And this was a bit of an impulse buy actually, because I didn't really know anything about it. I didn't even realise it was by Grady Hendrix until it came through the post and I had a proper look at it. But the reason why I'm so excited by this one is just because of the format. So this is a horror ghost story, I believe, and it is set in a furniture shop. So think IKEA. It's pretty much that, but with a different name. And this book is laid out like a furniture shop catalogue, which absolutely made me love it so much when I got it, because I love things like this. I love it when authors start mixing their writing with other formats and different kinds of media and things like that. It just really enhances the reading experience for me. And yeah, it just looks like a really unique and interesting horror story. I mean, look at that. Like, that is so cool. And again, it's a relatively short book, so I reckon that I will be able to bash this out in one sitting. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what this is all about. As I said, I believe it's a ghost story, and I think it's about these people who work in the furniture shop who start noticing things happening, and they go and investigate, and yeah, I don't know, but I'm excited. We're nearly at the end of this video, guys. The other book that I am reading for the mini spookathon, which is to cover the read an arc prompt, and that is The Newlyweds by Ariane Richmond. I think that's her name. This is an arc that I have had since November. The book came out quite recently in January, so I do need to get on this and read it, because it does sound really interesting. It kind of reminds me of Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris, with the whole domestic abuse storyline that is going on. However, in The Newlyweds, I believe that there isn't so much a domestic abuse story happening, and that it's something else. I'm not entirely sure. I'm kind of going into this one blindly, and I'm going to keep it that way, but I'm really looking forward to this one. So if you've read it, please let me know, because I would love to hear your thoughts on it. The last book that is definitely on my March TBR is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. So this is one of my 5-star predictions, and I just wanted to shove it in here because I am falling behind on getting to those books, and I need to finish them by the end of April. So yeah, but I've been really excited to read this one. I've heard such amazing things about it, and this just follows the President of America's son and the Prince of England. They don't have the best relationship, but they're kind of forced into faking a friendship, because if they don't, the press are going to get a whiff of the fact that they hate each other, and it's going to affect like America's and the UK's relationships with each other, and then that fake friendship develops into a romance. And yeah, I'm very excited for this one. I love enemies to lovers. I need to be reading more LGBTQ plus books, and everyone seems to be loving this, so I need to get on that hype train, because I feel like I'm missing out. Alright, so those are all the books that I definitely want to read in March, but I do have a couple of maybes as well, because some of these books I won't be reading until the end of the month, and there might be a few gaps where I can throw in some extra reading. So I've got a few maybes that I would like to get to as well if the opportunity arises. One of those books is called Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson, and this is a book that I pre-ordered back in January, and it came out in February, and I'm very interested in this one. It is a romance between two young black people, and it kind of just explores how race and identity can affect their relationship, I believe. I don't really know too much about it, but I'm very intrigued by this one, and I've seen a few people read it recently, and they've really enjoyed it. Another book that I would like to potentially get to in March is The One by John Mars. I read The Passengers back in December and I absolutely loved it, so I'm very keen to read more books by John Mars, because I know for a fact that everybody is just lapping up his work right now, and I have big FOMO. But this one really intrigues me because this is all about finding your soulmate through DNA matches. So you take like a swab of your cheek and you send it off, and then your DNA gets matched with somebody else and they are like your soulmate. And it sounds really cool, so I would like to get to that one. I know that this is being made into a Netflix show as well very soon, so I would like to read it so that I can watch the show and know what's going on. And then lastly, another maybe, although I feel like it kind of might be a definitely, is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I have already read this book, but I've only read this book. I need to read the others in the series, and I want to read them all before the show comes out in April, because I feel like I am missing out. I know how much everybody loves this series. I really enjoyed Shadow and Bone when I read it, more than I thought I would actually. So I'm very excited to continue this series, but I feel like I need to refresh my memory and reread the first one, and then I'll just continue with the next two books and maybe get to Six of Crows. I don't know, but I feel like I should have put this on my definitely now, but we're gonna leave it as it is. We're not gonna talk anymore because this video is already really long. Alright guys, I am gonna leave it there because I don't want to waste any more of your time. But yeah, it's pretty ambitious March TBR, but I reckon that I could do it. I am making a promise to myself this month that I am not going to be scrolling on my phone as much, and if I ever get the urge, I am going to try my hardest to pick up a book instead. I know it's easier said than done, but I'm gonna really try my hardest. I am also doing my Walk All Over Cancer challenge every day this month. I will be walking 10,000 steps every day to raise money for cancer research, so I might try and listen to a few of these books as audiobooks as well while I am out walking. So we'll see how that goes. If you would like to sponsor me, by the way, I will leave my donation page down in the description box below for you. There's absolutely no pressure. You don't have to sponsor me if you don't want to, but a little share or a few comments of motivational support would go a long way. I'm really excited to do this challenge. I've been wanting to do something for charity for a while now, and I also need to get fit again, so let's just kill two birds with one stone. And yeah, it's gonna be a good month. It's gonna be a productive, healthy, informative month, and I am excited. So I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking with me. I know I talk a lot, I can't help it, I'm sorry. But yeah, if you've read any of the books that I have talked about in this video today, then please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought of them. I always appreciate the feedback. If you like this video, then leave a cheeky thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos from me in the future if you want to. And I will see you all in my next video very soon. Bye guys.